Hello, everyone. Have you ever walked into a room and felt like you weren't really seen? Like you were just there, but not truly welcomed or noticed? Maybe you were the first to smile, started every talk, filled every quiet moment. And still, a little voice inside whispered, "I don't belong here anymore." If that feels true for you, you're not alone. It's one of the hardest things to face, especially as we get older. After all the years you've given, love, effort, patience, it hurts to realize that some people, even family, have stopped truly seeing you. They might still invite you over. They might still answer your calls. But the warmth is gone. The connection feels thin. And the saddest part? You keep showing up. You keep hoping they'll notice, hoping they'll care like they used to. But my friend, let me gently ask, how many more times will you knock on a door that only opens because they have to? How many more talks will you try to keep alive while they look at their watch or scroll on their phone? How long will you keep giving when all that's left for you is quiet? We've been taught, especially in our generation, that family is everything. That love means giving without asking for anything back. That you should hold on no matter what. And yes, there's beauty in staying loyal and strong. But there's also a quiet danger. Because sometimes, by trying to be the good parent or the understanding grandparent, we slowly start to disappear from our own lives. That's why today, I want to talk about something most people avoid. Taking a step back from those who no longer truly respect you. Even if they're family. This isn't about being mean or cutting ties in anger. It's because your time, your presence, and your peace are too important to keep giving to people who don't value them. Let me share a story. I hear it often. A woman in her 70s told me she visits her daughter's home every Sunday, just like always. She brings dessert, helps clean, plays with the grandkids. But lately, no one really talks to her. The kids are busy, her daughter is stressed, her son-in-law barely looks up. She sits in the corner, smiling politely, but inside, she feels invisible. When she gets home, she cries. Not because they were unkind, but because they didn't seem to care if she was even there. She asks herself, "Is it me? Am I asking too much?" No, dear heart, you're not asking too much. You're simply asking for something very basic. To be seen, to be heard, to be respected. And if those things are missing, it's not real love. It's just routine, habit, or a sense of duty. And staying in that place, week after week, does something to your spirit. It tells you that your feelings don't matter, that being left on the side is just part of getting older, that this is all you can hope for now. But I'm here to tell you something else. You have every right to protect your peace, even from your own children, even from your siblings, even from people you've known and loved for years. Why? Because respect isn't guaranteed by blood. It's earned through how people act. Too often, we mix up being patient with being silent. We let things go because we don't want to be a bother. We hide our sadness because we don't want to make things awkward. But ask yourself, how long can you keep holding in that ache before it turns into anger? How many times will you excuse their distance before you start wondering if you are worth less? This isn't about cutting people off. It's about choosing yourself. It's about saying, "I won't keep shrinking myself to fit into someone else's small bit of affection." Because you were not made to be just tolerated. You were made to be truly loved. Let's talk about what respect really looks like. It's not about big fancy gestures or flowery words. It's about simple effort, eye contact, a quick text that says, "I'm thinking of you." A visit that feels like they chose to be there, not like a chore. A voice that brightens when they hear yours on the phone. If these simple things have vanished, not just once, but again and again, it's okay to take a step back. Not to punish them, but to heal yourself. Stepping back doesn't mean you don't love them. It means you love yourself enough to stop chasing after small scraps of attention. You are allowed to choose peace over pain. You are allowed to say, I miss who we used to be, but I won't keep hurting just to stay close. Now, I know some people will ask, but what if they change? What if they're just busy? What if I wait a little longer? That's a fair question, and sometimes people do change. But let me ask you this. What is the cost of waiting? How many months or years will you give away, hoping they'll suddenly wake up and see how much you mean? And in that time, how much of yourself do you lose? You don't get to live your 60s or 70s or 80s again. You have this one moment, this one life, to fill with meaning. And if someone is constantly showing you that you're not important to them, it's time to stop making them important to you. You are not just a background character in someone else's story. You are the writer of your own life. You get to choose where your energy goes. And sometimes, the bravest, kindest thing you can do is to lovingly step back and say, I will not keep showing up where I am no longer seen. Think of it like this. If you plant a beautiful flower in soil that just won't give it what it needs, no matter how much you water it, it will fade. That doesn't mean the flower is weak. It just means the environment is wrong. So instead of blaming yourself for not blooming, maybe it's time to replant yourself somewhere with warmth, light, and care. And yes, that might mean fewer visits, fewer phone calls, more quiet afternoons spent doing things that bring you joy. Reading, walking, learning something new, meeting people who lift you up instead of draining you. It may feel a bit strange at first, but over time, that space you created by letting go of what hurt you becomes room for something much better. You are not here to beg for attention. You are not here to earn love through suffering. You are here to be respected, valued, and free. And the moment you stop giving your energy to those who can't truly see it is the moment you begin to feel truly powerful again. You might be wondering, if I step back, what will happen? Will they notice? Will they care? Will I feel even more alone? These are important questions, because the answer isn't always what we want to hear. Sometimes they won't notice. Sometimes they'll just keep going as if nothing changed. And that can hurt even more than any harsh word. But that pain, as sharp as it is, also tells you the truth you've been avoiding. Because when someone doesn't reach out, when your absence feels lighter to them than your presence, you haven't lost a relationship. You've lost an illusion. And that realization can be heartbreaking, yes, but it can also be incredibly freeing. You don't have to stay where you're simply tolerated. You don't have to chase people who've stopped meeting you halfway. Love that only flows one way eventually runs dry. And the longer you pour from your own cup without getting anything back, the emptier you become. This isn't about becoming angry or cold. It's about becoming wise. Knowing when to hold on and when to let go. Knowing that walking away doesn't mean you failed. It means you've grown. Have you ever watched a child lose interest in a toy? At first, they carry it everywhere, but over time, it gets tossed aside. Not because it lost value, but because the child took its presence for granted. That's how some people treat relationships too. They expect you to always be there, to always say yes, to always understand. And slowly, your steady presence becomes invisible. But what happens when the toy goes missing? What happens when they look for it and it's not there? That's when they remember. That's when they ask questions. That's when they realize it meant something after all. This isn't about playing games or testing loyalty. It's about letting others feel your absence. Because if someone truly values you, they will notice when you step away. They will feel the quiet where your voice used to be. And if they don't, that silence speaks volumes. There's a kind of quiet strength that grows when you stop knocking on closed doors. When you stop asking for the bare minimum from people who have so much more to give and choose not to. You start to remember who you are outside of the roles you've played for so long, outside of being the giver, the helper, the peacekeeper. And in that remembering, something powerful happens. You begin to ask new questions. What do I want for myself now? What makes me feel alive? Who do I want around me, not out of duty, but out of joy? It's never too late to build a different kind of life, one where your presence is valued, not just expected, where your time is spent with people and in places that bring you peace, where you don't have to keep proving that you matter, because you've already decided that you do. There's a quote I love. You don't have to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. And yet so many of us have done just that. We've used up our patience, our time, our health, all to keep relationships alive that give very little back. But love shouldn't leave you completely tired. It shouldn't make you feel smaller. Real love feeds your soul. It lifts you up. It gives as much as it gets. So if you find yourself always being the one to reach out, to remind, to fix, pause. Ask yourself, what would happen if I stopped? If I stopped calling first? If I stopped visiting just to feel unwanted? If I stopped bending myself to fit into their plans, their needs, their world? Would they reach out? Would they miss you? Or would they simply carry on without a change? Either way, the truth will show itself. And that truth is a gift, even if it hurts. Because once you stop chasing what ignores you, you make room for what truly sees you. Some of the most meaningful relationships you'll have in this part of your life may come from unexpected places. A neighbor who checks in, a friend you meet in a class or a book club, a community that welcomes you for who you are today, not just for who you used to be. But to get those new blessings, you need space, emotional space, mental space. And sometimes that means stepping back from the people who once meant the most to you. Because holding on is no longer helping you heal. I want to be clear. This doesn't mean cutting ties completely. For some, a little distance is all it takes to bring things back into balance. Space can bring clear thoughts. It gives others a chance to think too. But even if nothing changes on their end, something changes in you. You stop waiting. You stop hoping for someone else to decide your worth. You start choosing yourself. And that choice changes everything. You are not selfish for wanting respect. You are not cold for needing fairness. You are not being dramatic for stepping away from what hurts. You are human, and you are worthy of relationships that honor your presence, not just use it. So as you think about these ideas, I invite you to be honest with yourself. Not with guilt, not with fear, but with kindness. What would it feel like to no longer beg for love that's gone quiet? To no longer put your life on hold for people who won't press play for you? You have a right to peace, to joy, to laughter that doesn't come with stress, to talks where your voice isn't cut off or ignored. You deserve to walk into a room and feel wanted, not just needed. There's a big difference. One lifts you up, the other drains you. And the beautiful truth is, you get to decide. You get to choose who walks beside you in this next part of your life. You are not held back by the past. You are not forced to keep playing a role that no longer fits. You are free, and freedom at this stage is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself. So if today you feel a little sad, a little lost, let that be okay. Let it pass through you like a gentle breeze. And then breathe, smile, stand up slowly, and remind yourself, You are no longer waiting. You are living. No more chasing invitations that never come. No more wondering why your messages go unanswered. No more changing your life around the hope of someone else's attention. You're not a guest in other people's lives. You are the host of your own. And yes, some people will never understand why you chose to take a step back. Let them misunderstand. Your peace is not something to argue about. You don't need to explain yourself. You need to be honored. And if they can't do that, you walk away. Not in anger, but in love. Love for yourself. It's time to stop giving your energy to empty spaces. Time to stop practicing conversations in your head, hoping next time it'll be different. Time to stop offering your heart to those who've stopped reaching out for it. Your life is no longer a waiting room. It's a home. And you get to decide who's allowed inside. So take a breath. Feel the ground under you. You're still here. You still matter. And the years ahead, they can be some of the most freeing, the most peaceful, the most meaningful you've ever known. Because now you're no longer trying to be invited. You're walking your own path. And for anyone watching this right now, if something inside you is saying, "This is me, I've felt this, I've lived this," then I want you to do something simple but powerful. Write in the comments, "My time matters." Add where you're watching from. Let it be a reminder to yourself and a light to others that your life, your presence, your worth do not depend on anyone else's behavior. Because when you stop trying to be chosen and choose yourself instead, you don't lose love. You finally find it. So here's to you, to your limits, to your strength, to your quiet bravery, to the peace that comes when you say, "I am enough just as I am, and I will no longer stay where I am not seen." If this message touched you, subscribe and stay with us. You've just begun a new chapter. And I promise, what comes next isn't just survival. It's the life you've been waiting to claim. You didn't lose them. You found you. And that is everything.